Bum bum bada bada bum bum bum.
Hey there, I'm Ryan for The Art of Doing Things, and this is my first video post for an article that a couple of my friends suggested that I should start doing videos of these things. And if I come across as a little bit awkward, please forgive me. I'll be as awkward as a 14-year-old stalker in need of love. When I wanted to tackle this subject, I didn't know exactly where to start. I just kept thinking about the one girl who asked me how to get rid of writer's block because she had a major case of it. So I asked her, okay, where is she stuck? And she said, well, I have a huge case of it because I haven't been able to start. Technically, you don't have writer's block until you actually have written something down. If you're planning something long form like a feature-length script or planning a novel, it helps to create a synopsis or an outline of your story and tell the story that you want to tell in about 5 to 8 pages. If you're script writing, you're going to need a synopsis anyway because assistants to movie executives are not going to read 80 pages of your brilliance if you cannot be interesting in 8. But the other place to start is to write a single scene. Write one scene really well. Some people feel hampered by needing to create the very beginning, and it has to be a good beginning in order to justify the story. If that's holding you back, skip the start of the story because the real start of the story is the scene that you want to write first. Anytime you hear the classic fairy tale intro Once Upon a Time, like Once Upon a Time there was a boy named Jack who was not very strong or very bright, or Once Upon a Time there was a young girl in a little red hoodie who had moonshine drives to her grandma's club, it's just there to establish things. Think of storytelling this way. Let's say that something unbelievable or amazing happened to you, like you won $1,000 on a lottery scratcher, and you want to tell someone over the phone because it's wonderful news. So after calling someone and squealing like a little girl, your friend is going to ask, so how did it happen? They're not looking for, well, I scratched the silver part and got schmutz all over my hand. They're not looking for that. They want to know how the story began. So you start looking at the scene and you naturally start going there. So at this point, you're describing you had a hard day at work and you decide to stop by the 7-Eleven about 2 miles from your place, and you realize you need a new pack of cigarettes, so you decide to go in, and then you see the only employee who was there tending to the taquitos that are below temperature when he should be in front of the cash register because there was a line of people waiting to get checked out. After what feels like forever, you finally buy your favorite cigarettes and you have change left over, so you kind of decide, well, I see a lottery scratcher that has the Mexican Lotteria on it, and because I have the mermaid tattooed on the inside of my left bicep, then I should get that for good luck, and I should get two because I have two biceps. So you scratch the first lottery ticket and you didn't come up with anything, and that's to be expected. So you look at the second lottery ticket and you scratch it off and you see 1 star, 2 stars, and 3 stars. And you thought, oh, okay, great, and you won $10. Until you turn it into the cashier who kind of starts screaming and you have no idea why, and you realize there's no decimal point between the 1000 and you just won $1,000. The moral of the story is that you had one action that inspired you. Every other detail leading up to this one point in the story is context. There's several films and stories that start at the action and then flash back to the beginning. In fact, there's a Latin term for it called in medias res, where you start in the middle of the action rather than at the beginning. This technique has been around since the 8th century BCE, which means that this plot device has been around longer than Jesus. The other reason people tend to get blocked is because they have a habit of wanting to edit what they've written so far despite that they are not finished. Resist the temptation because it is stepping back into your comfort zone because you want to protect the effort that you've committed to paper. It's the equivalent of polishing a wooden table when you've only built it halfway. So if you have to go back, don't go back all the way, go back to the beginning of the scene, so only enough that you have a starting point. And if your argument is, well, I have to go back even earlier because I don't remember what was in the scene earlier, then if you're not going to remember it, then your reader isn't going to remember it either. So maybe that's the point where you're actually stuck. Other than this, there are a couple of other things that you can do. One is to walk away from it for a little while because you might just need a break. You know, just go do something else like clean your room, take a long walk, go mini golfing, because sometimes the best writing happens when you're waiting for a family of kids to finish all their putt-putts into their holes after 10 or 12 strokes. The last advice is a simple one, just change your perspective. My friend was asking me about writing a story that featured an Asian mother who was horrible with her child, and she said that she had problems with it because it came off as flat. personally, in my own writing, I don't like writing enemies as the evil that uses all of his or her efforts to do harm to the protagonist, because it sounds like every teenager who assumes their parents are strictly grounding them because the point is to make their lives miserable. It's why I'm not a fan of villains whose goal is I want to conquer the world, because their motivation is I want to conquer the world. You might as well tell me that at age 5 he didn't get a pony or a Nintendo and that's the reason why he is this way. In this case, I suggested that the Asian mother might come across as a tiger mom to her daughter, but she doesn't do it out of hand because the world does not revolve around the daughter, even if the plot does in the story. So the mother has her own background and her own motivations, and what may come across as horrible to her daughter might come as a form of compassion when you look at it through her eyes. The key to killing any writer's block is write. And then when you're done writing, write some more. And then when you're done writing some more, write even more. Just write, write, write until the thoughts of structure break down and you let the story go where it needs to go, like Honey Badgers Without a Leash. And that concludes this particular post on the art of killing writer's block. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you found something that you can use, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.